Well, hi, everybody. I'm Rick Parkhill. I'm the director here at Brand Storytelling, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Pauline Malcolm. She is our newest advisory board member here at Brand Storytelling, and we couldn't be more delighted to welcome her to the board. Pauline, you've had such an interesting career these past 20 years in media sales and working for so many innovative companies. You've been a busy woman for the last couple of decades.
Yes.
Love to just give us a little bit of your background and where you came from and what's brought you to this moment here. So many learnings here over the last 20 years of your media career.
Absolutely. And Rick, firstly, thank you so much for having me and for inviting me to this conversation, and super excited to serve on the advisory board with you and so many other incredible industry professionals that have kind of shaped this industry in storytelling. But yes, I've been in media sales for the past 20 plus years. I started my career in New York with a company called shopping.com. I was employee number 35 out of 400. And we got acquired after like 4 years of working there to eBay for like almost 700 million. And that was like the start of my sort of I feel very like innovate, like love of innovation and being a part of companies that were sort of shaping our media consumptions and behavior, as well as, I fell in love with like marketing and being on the sales side, problem solving for clients. So that was my first foray into startup and innovation, and then went from there to MySpace. Rest in peace, MySpace. Um,
Okay, all of you out there that remember MySpace, raise your hands.
but I was at MySpace before, Facebook was Facebook, and then Facebook kind of like had their rise. But I was there I was one of the founding sales team members in the New York office, and did some incredible work there, kind of like cutting my teeth on social media, kind of the first generation of like social media and UGC content, and then moved into management, went to Condé Nast, and worked at Wired. Fun fact, when Condé Nast actually owned Reddit back in the day, and worked with like Alexis, one of the founders of Reddit, and Ars Technica and Wired, which was great. And again, just love technology, love being on the forefront. And for the past 10 years of my career, I started to get really involved in sort of the YouTube creator economy when the creator economy was first starting out. I was the first head of sales at Style Hall, and worked with Stephanie Hobachevsky, the founder there, and the company got sold to like Bertelsmann, and then went to Maker Studios and was on the founding sort of leadership team in the New York office, and worked with some incredible people like Inan Krez, who's now like the CEO of Mattel, and Courtney Holt, and other like great executives. And what was great about Maker was really like it was a perfect blend of my passion on storytelling, as well as working with creators and kind of like that first generation of YouTube content creators. I was there when we got acquired by the Walt Disney Company for $1 billion, and then ran some sales teams throughout the Walt Disney Company, worked with Rita Farrow and other executives that are part of Disney ad sales, and then got the call to join Quibi. Uh,
Wibby.
Quibi,
Okay, another show of hands.
right. That was like, I still believe Quibi was onto something with their short form, professional, beautifully produced content. But we kind of launched at the wrong time, like right at the start of the pandemic, where everyone was home and watching like long form content. So, after the shutdown, I then went to Ben Labs and was their head of global sales. And again, my perfect blend of passion with the creator economy, product placement, brands being a part of the story. And finally, before starting Brand Story Architect, I was asked to join Essence as their first chief revenue officer and, tripled their revenue over the 2 years that I was there, and really was tasked with taking a legacy company that had been around for 50 years, that was primarily known, as a magazine, as well as for their huge festival, really sort of modernizing their company, launching their first influencer practice, building out their branded content, practice and storytelling studio for brands, and also helping to sort of build additional revenue streams outside of just their .com magazine and festival. And it was through that experience, and just kind of like over the past 10 years, where I really saw still a lot of white space as it relates to the creator economy. There's this whole new generation of content creators being born on TikTok, as well as like production companies that are not quite seeing the funding that they were seeing during the heydays of the streaming wars, and saw that there was a need to connect brands with this new generation of storytellers, be it digital first or across film and television, and really help brands to be a part of an experiential activation as opposed to an interruptive experience with display media.
Yeah.
That
Well,
in a
Pauline,
nutshell.
you've been on the leading edge of this sort of creator economy and new media world for a long time. And when I say new media world, I mean it's newer every day, isn't it?
Yes,
I mean,
for
think
sure.
about the changes that you've seen since you were at Style Hall 10 years ago.
Mhm.
So th this past decade, you went from Style Hall to Maker to Quibi to Ben Labs and Essence. What led you to this moment where you said, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to take everything I learned here this last 20 years about media and marketing and start my own agency. What was the inspiration?
Yeah, so really throughout my career, I've been an entrepreneur. Like I've always sort of built things from the ground up, be it at Style Hall, where I was their first head of sales, building out, their first sort of the infrastructure, the monetization strategies. Similarly at Maker, leading like their East Coast sales and then national. I was always building. I was kind of like I was an entrepreneur, but through, sort of the protection of a corporation
Yeah,
behind me, right?
yeah. You
Um,
get to play with other people's money is what that means, I
Exactly.
think.
I got to play with other people's money and but still kind of act like an entrepreneur. And then, I felt like what the work that we did at Maker, we were so early on to the industry and surveying sort of the market now, I felt like a company like Maker was very much needed, sort of like this company that understood both, brands as well as talent and can provide resources like content production. I felt like that was missing for the new generation of creators. And so kind of building that sort of like next generation of what Maker was really is really at the heart of what Brand Story Architect is. And all of those experiences that I had in helping companies sort of build from the ground up, I stepped out and said, it's time to do it for my own company, for myself. And really, I was acting as an entrepreneur all especially these last 10 years of my career. And it was time to finally just make it formal and step out and launch my own company.
Yeah, well, congratulations and welcome to the scary world of entrepreneurism.
Thank
Can't even say it. Um,
you.
so So look, let's talk about brand story architects now. Love the title, by the way.
We
Brand
have a lot
story
of
architect.
synergy. I mean, brand storytelling, brand story
Yeah,
architect. Yes.
yeah. So what's the focus? Is it the focus to serve brands or creators or both?
So both. So really, Brand Story Architect is a talent and entertainment company. We are our mantra is to connect brands to the best storytellers in the world. So we believe in the power of three. And so the power of three is like anchored around like our three divisions. The first division is creativity, where we represent some of the largest creators in the space as well as helping brands with their creative marketing strategy as it relates to social, and helping and leveraging our creator network to help brands really tap into the creativity and the storytelling that mostly resonates with Gen Z. So we represent the most followed creator on TikTok, Kabi LeMay. And he on TikTok alone has over 160 million followers.
That,
Um,
that's almost hard to even understand, 160
I
million.
know, I know, I know. It's
That number slips by. 100, but you got to stop and think about it. 160 million.
160.
It makes him one of the biggest media forces on the planet, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like he's like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, like all combined, like he has and that's 97 his audience is 95% Gen Z. So really he's like a multi-channel network to himself.
Yeah.
And then our sort of third piece is connectivity, where we have a PR division that sits under that, and we help brands sort of elevate their storytelling and thought leadership through our PR division. And then the last piece is our collective, which is an entrepreneurial rep firm, where we represent some of the um, largest sort of storytelling platforms like Heartbeat Productions. We're working with 300 Entertainment, and we're signing an additional sort of partners. And those companies have their own sort of sales engines. But what we really focus and specialize in is the branded content piece and really helping to connect brands in a unique way, and be it through music, through the emerging artist arm of 300 Entertainment and Warner Brothers, or through special projects and shows on Heartbeat. So ultimately, we have the creator, the connection, and then the collective. And through that sort of power of three, we're helping brands to connect with that Gen Z audience in a new and meaningful way, without disrupting the user experience.
Well, terrific. I mean, so well suited and, to be so culturally relevant and with a focus on Gen Z right now. I'm sure you're going to be quite busy with brands that need to interact with you. Tell me, I read a little bit about how you utilize AI to measure results for the brands on your platform. Tell us about that. How are you going to leverage AI?
Yeah, so we definitely, at the heart of Brand Story Architect, we want to make sure that art is married with science. So really the art is like leaning into the creators to do what they do best, which is storytelling. But then we want to ensure that we're using AI to first figure out what's the right story to tell, right? And ensure that we're tapping into the right affinities or audience for that brand. But then we also want to make sure that it's all measurable. So if you're working with Cabby or other creators in our network, we ensure that it's all measurable from a viewership perspective, that we can measure not only brand awareness, but also, foot traffic, and that it's mapping back to whatever outcome the brand is looking to solve for. And we're working with a technology partner to ensure that we're delivering on both the insights to help inform the right story to tell for the brand, as well as ensuring that it's all measurable, and that the brand is getting sort of the KPIs that they need to measure the
Let's
outcomes.
talk about that a little bit. It's like how do you measure the success for a brand on the platform and with creators? You know, what are the metrics that you're pointing to?
Yeah, so it really all depends on what the brand is trying to solve for. So, ultimately, we look at sort of like full funnel measurement, where we can help measure brand awareness through research and insight studies, but also, mid funnel with engagement metrics that we use with our technology partner and leverage, and then bottom funnel as well. Like, did someone add a product to their cart because of this video or because of this post? Did it drive like foot traffic? Like we worked with companies like Placed, a number of different like research tools to ensure that we can measure, whatever key performance indicators the brand is trying to solve for. We ensure that we're pulling all of that data in, um, ultimately within the opportunity or package, to ensure that they're able to measure those results. So it's a myriad of different KPIs, but ultimately we provide full funnel measurement for the awareness as well as like bottom funnel on like who's actually buying.
So Pauline, let's have you take a little look in the future for us. Turn the
Okay.
high beams on,
All
and
right.
like what's down the road? How do you see the role of storytelling evolving further in this digital age? Is it going to be increasing emphasis on creators and their authenticity and their audience? You know, how does storytelling evolve in the future?
Yeah, I think, especially there's with this sort of new generation of creators, like I especially starting out over 10 years ago, where maybe there was like tens of thousands of creators, now there's millions of creators. And one is born like every 10 seconds. uh, you know, so ultimately there's still so much for brands to sort of discover in this new ecosystem with the proliferation of so many new creators covering every subject under the sun. And so I think it's going to be more and more increasingly important for brands to look at sort of like that almost hyper storytelling, if you will, where meaning that, you know, people's interests are so specialized and you have content creators that are hyper specialized that are telling stories or creating sort of these new genres. And so it's going to be more and more important for brands to be incredibly diversified in their approach. It's not a one size fits all, and I think that will continuously evolve as the barriers to entry are lower and lower to create quality content. It's going to be increasingly more important for brands to be aware of all the diverse storytelling that their audience is interested in, and to tap into that to build, new relationships, especially with that younger audience.
Yeah.
So it's definitely being, hyper aware and leaning on partners like Brand Story Architect to help kind of sift through that and help them identify, all of those diverse storytellers that are out there that are.
So you think it's important for brands to look towards sort of micro influencers, micro creators? I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the fame and of a Mr. Beast or a Cabby LeMay and and the scale and reach that they have. But micro influencers tapping into those networks may be even more effective, huh?
Absolutely, because I mean, obviously, Cabby, great engagement, or Mr. Beast, but those micro creators, like sort of like those grassroots creators that are popping up every single day that specialize in. Like I discovered a new creator the other day that only talks about candles, and I am a candle fanatic. So and his content is exclusively about candles, right? But that with that, that's a hyper sort of interest and focus. And there's maybe thousands of people like him covering those candles, and that's a very viable audience. So also not only going after the big mainstream talent, but making sure that you are also tapping into micro influencers and
Mhm.
creators that are specialized in their focus.
Well, Pauline, we're going to be calling on you for some advice here as we're, looking down the road for our next event, which is at Sundance in January 2025.
I'm excited.
And we're dedicating a whole day to the creator economy and content and focus on what brands need to know about working with creators. So we're going to be talking to you about how we program that day and bringing talent into it too. So good time for you to be joining our board. We really appreciate it and look forward to working with you on that. I'm wishing you all the best with your new adventure. I'm sure there'll be lots of good news coming our way soon out of Brand Story Architects. So, Pauline, thanks for joining today.
Thank
Um,
you for having me, Rick. This is great. I'm excited about, again, joining the board as well as helping to program for the upcoming Sundance. And I wish you all the best with Elevate as well. I know you guys are gearing up for that.
we
So
are at the screening room at Sundance right now. It starts tonight. We're screening a film. Actually, it's a series by the Dairy Association, Milk Pep, which is
Oh, cool.
which is Got Milk.
Yes, very
And
familiar.
they have a series called The Dairy Diaries. So we're going to show a couple of episodes and then serve milk and cookies afterwards.
I love
Going
it.
to be a hit.
I love it. Well, enjoy. Congrats.
Thanks,
And
Pauline.
thank you so much for having me. This was
Talk
fun.
soon. Thank you.
All right.